The room was dimly lit, and the candles cast flickering shadows onto the walls, despite it being plain daylight outside. It was a dark room and foreboding. Aoki stood ready for whatever was next, as did Aogi. Jin remained sitting on the throne, his throne now, his head under his chin and across his cheek, his hand under his chin and across his cheek, as if he were contemplating something. But what, neither Aogi nor Aoki had any idea. After but a few moments, Jin sat up, placed his hands on his thighs, and announced to Aoki and Aogi this message. You are both to travel further east, to Yuri Castle, on my orders. What for? Aoki asked quietly. You are to relay a message to the Lord Zoltan, who is defiant and without honor. Aoki nodded. What has he done, and what is the message, my lord? Aogi nodded as well. The message is this, Jin stated plainly, but with anger and judgment. Surrender yourself to be punished for your crimes of enslavement of women and children in your lordship, or die. Aoki nodded, and he and Aogi looked at one another before Aogi spoke. We were not aware that he had done such a thing. Jin nodded. He kept it a secret, used them, that is all I will say. Each nodded and bowed. We shall deliver this message expediently, my lord. And with that, they turned to leave. Wait, Jin called. They each turned to face him. Yes, my lord, said Aogi as Aoki fell silent, knowing what they must do. If he doesn't surrender, kill him. Aogi nodded, a serious look creasing his expression. Yes, my siege. Aoki turned and left as Aogi trailed behind, leaving Jin in the candlelit darkness of the throne room. As they left, they said nothing and continued to say nothing. The entire walk back to their horses, where they encountered Eric and Jonathan once more. But this time, they cautioned them and told them they could not accompany them on their journey, as it was too dangerous, and they were without the skill necessary to take on the challenge they would face. Still, Eric insisted that they come. If you really want to be samurai, Aoki said, talk to Jin. You were brave, he admitted. He may give you an opportunity. Eric nodded. I will do that, my lord. Aoki nodded as well. Do that then. And with that, and a spur to their horses, Aoki and Aogi left Akai to venture to Yuri Castle, where they would come face to face with atrocities they knew little of and had little experience with. Still, they knew the way of the sword, and they knew how to wield a katana. Besides, scaling or infiltrating a castle wasn't something they were unaccustomed to. They had done it a few times in battles in war. They would do it again and bring Lord Zoltan to justice. It was roughly 4 days' ride to Yuri Castle, but they made haste and made it there in only 3 days. It was nightfall as they approached, and without time to rest, they judged the castle's defenses. They had a bridge, and it was built on top of a large hill with rocks surrounding it. So they decided to wait until a few days had passed, keeping an eye on the castle all the while, and decided to acquire grappling hooks and more arrows. They would scale the walls, take the towers within the castle, and fire from above with their bows until the enemy was no more. They counted roughly 33 samurai, all traitorous, and as they left their posts outside of the castle with little food remaining in their packs and made home at another inn in the town of Yuri, they slept for a while. They paid with coin, and the following days scavenged the market for supplies and found a blacksmith who was willing to help them with a grappling hook or two. Under the table and with extra pay, of course. Still, he seemed happy to help liberate the women and children being held captive, the blacksmith, and explained to Aoki and Aogi that they had all been taken from the town a year ago and that they had not seen any since. They wondered where they were, and many of the men in the town had lost all hope of a future without them, and were made to work many hours for their lordship, Lord Zoltan. Aoki remained serious and without emotion, but a look of anger and despair ran across Aoki's face as he saw how the men suffered in their labors without their wives or children at home. Even some of their grandmothers had been taken away, and it became apparent to both of them that they would need to question Lord Zoltan before executing him or taking him to Emperor Jun, but that would have to wait for another day, they supposed. As night approached, they left the inn and walked on foot to their perch near the castle, where they watched the guards carefully, waiting for their moment to strike.